Hey friends, so I don't know why, but for some reason it's been really coming up for me recently that I need to share a bit about my story. And I think it's because I'm coming up on the 1 year mark of living in this home and kind of what brought me down the path of spirituality and really getting tied deeper and more enthralled in my spirituality and kind of feeling like there wasn't really a purpose or a meaning for me for a while, and then aligning to that and finding it. But I guess let's kind of go back a little bit. And like what the heck I'm talking about. But this time last year, my life looked completely different. Completely different. I was working as a full-time therapist. I had a partner that I was in a relationship with. I had a home. I was working full-time in that job and career. But I was struggling to keep it all together. And there was no fault of my own. I started experiencing insane health concerns at the age of 25. I started getting crazy migraines to the point where I was waking up every single day with my head just throbbing, stabbing pains. It felt like my eyes were bulging out of my head at times. Like, I couldn't remember anything. I would go get into my car and then realize that I had locked my keys to my home for my car inside the house. It was insane. So I started going down this rabbit hole to discover what was wrong with me. Why, at the age of 25, can't I even get up out of bed without a throbbing migraine? And then my eyes, like I shared, were like bulging out of my head, okay? And it's just like, this is not right. And then I started sharing about my experience with people around me. And one day, one of my coworkers started hearing about my severe memory loss. And I already was an individual who struggled with anxiety and depression and PTSD symptoms from my past. But they were getting clinically a lot worse. And my coworker heard me, the first person who genuinely heard me and was listening, as I'm having MRIs, EKGs, everything done to my head to figure out what the heck is wrong. And she was like, it sounds like this is an external thing. Like, have you ever thought about black mold? What? Black mold? Huh? And it was weird because at the time, my dog, who I'm petting right now, you can probably hear her sneezing, was also experiencing health concerns, like extreme severe allergies to the point where I had to take her to the vet. Her entire face swelled up. She had to be put on a Benadryl drip. It was just really weird things. So then I go home from having this conversation and I look around my home a little bit and I pull out my shoe rack to discover copious amounts of black mold growing behind my shoes. And what is behind the black mold that's growing externally? An interior wall full of black mold. I was renting this property. My landlords were in Austria. They gave me no contact in order to contact somebody to get out of the location. So what did I do? I reached out to the only support I had in the area, my boyfriend. This completely ruined our relationship, for a sidebar. So I evacuated to his home and left everything I had behind. Meanwhile, having to go onto FMLA because obviously I had a breakdown because I lost everything in one fair swoop. Because mold particles attach to everything in one fair swoop. So I had been living in a mold infested home for months. So I go on to start getting the testing done to figure out the severity, what's going on with my own body, because I'm not okay. Long and behold, I find out I have more than 7 types of mold, and my body is made up of more than 50% of mold at this point. I'm gonna have to begin drinking chlorella and activated black charcoal in order to clear out my entire system and get on this whole protocol. But that's not the point. The point is, the landlords were still nowhere to be found or get in contact with. Therefore, I could do nothing with any of my belongings that were still trapped inside the home because they were in Austria. So I'm trying to figure out my entire life while my whole life is locked inside of a house being infested with mold. And I am infested with mold. And my eyes are bulging out of my fucking head because of the mold. And the things I love, my dogs and animals, we're all being just tortured and killed by this mold. So, finally, I'm able to run all the tests. Don't worry, they took part of my security deposit for it, even though they knew when they moved me in, and I have text proof that they knew that the house had concerns of mold when they moved me in. And they admitted to just painting over the mold and hoping for the best. They took my money and moved me in anyways, so I could be poisoned by the mold. And they could get their money and go on vacation to Austria. Meanwhile, me, who has autoimmune disorders and is very susceptible to things like that, had my eyes bulging out of my head. I was waking up every single day with clinical migraines. So, finally, I get my things, and I have faced with being now 40 pounds lighter than I was when I began because the mold has deteriorated my system. My brain, as I shared, couldn't remember anything. I'm nowhere near the levels I was before. And now I'm faced with moving myself out of the house and cleaning every single orifice that was in there with masks. So mask up and clean your shit yourself, honey, to get out. Talk about trauma. So every single thing that came out of that house got scrubbed down with vinegar. Sprayed and scrubbed, on to the next, all by me and my friends who helped. The 3 friends that I have. Again, not a lot of supports because I'm out here on my own. Meanwhile, all this is happening. Trying to get back on my feet. I get smacked by a drunk driver under the influence of alcohol and Xanax. I get a severe concussion. The driver doesn't have insurance. It all comes back on me. Now I have no home. I have no car. I have no job. Well, they're trying to take my job away from me because they quote unquote don't have any more FMLA, but yet my psychiatrist wouldn't clear me to go back because the job was triggering me because I worked in mental health and I was going through a crisis. So, what did I do? I left it all. Said, this is not working. I have to figure something else out. I found something that would work. Here I am in a 400 square foot apartment. That's the tiniest thing I've ever lived in. I'm about to move on to a bigger and better place. And I'm having so much house trauma and so much anxiety surrounding the situation. But I know I have to do it because I know it's the next best step for me. And I know my life is going to get so much better. But I'm so scared and I'm so nervous. And I'm so worried. Because look at what life has looked like. But I know I'm capable of it. And I know I'm capable of things getting better. When I lost everything, when I lost literally everything, my home, my car, my job, everything that made me me, it was all gone. I still picked myself up. I still made something of myself. Now I'm a teacher. We don't use computers. We don't use tablets. We don't use the things that I wasn't able to do back then in those moments. After my concussion, I couldn't look at a computer screen anymore. Fuck being a therapist. So I found a school where a Waldorf school where we don't use those things. That's much more spiritually aligned with the things I believe in, the things I want for myself. Everything has a divine reason, divine path, you are divinely guided. Things may be really hard and they may not look the way that you intended or thought that they were going to look, but holy crap. If none of that would have ever happened to me, I could have easily still been burning myself out, working the therapy job, not knowing a way out. Those places felt entrapping. all I ever wanted to do was bring a more holistic, more mindful approach. All it felt like was billing and money hungry. Now I'm in a place where we don't even rate a single note. We don't even take on a single case. We care about people. We care about the goodness in your heart. We care about your soul, your spirit. Those are the types of things that I want to nurture. Those are the things I want to continue to do and be. So it's just a little bit about what brought me here, what brings me here, and why my spiritual path is so loud. I'll continue to be loud because I'm thankful. I'm grateful. And yeah, I might be a little wackadoo weird, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Peace and blessings. Till next time.